Turkey is also fundamentally important, and U.S.-Turkish relations are fundamentally important to the security of the region. There's a very fascinating history. Turkey's role in the region. You know what? I'm going to stop now. Let's turn it over to Merve. I want to ask her a bunch of questions because I'm really curious to know, what is it like from Turkey's perspective thinking about Israel?
One of Turkey's biggest allies is the United States. Turkey's in NATO, the United States is very important, they're allies. And for a very long time, and this has not been true for the past couple of years, but for a very long time, one of Turkey's biggest allies used to be Israel. Turkey was actually the first Muslim majority country to ever recognize Israel as an independent state. They had really good diplomatic relations, strategic relations, and military relations for years and years.
So why? Let me pause you there. Why would Turkey want strong military relations with Israel?
Really, the relationship, some would argue, dates back to the Spanish Inquisition, when a lot of Jewish people were expelled from Spain, and the Ottoman Empire at the time was the only country that accepted these people to come over. So about 200,000, if I'm correct, 200,000 Jewish people from Spain immigrated to the Ottoman Empire at the time, and they have been a very key part of Turkish society.
And at the time,
and today.
I mean, at the time, didn't the Ottoman Empire actually control what is modern day Israel?
Yeah, they couldn't. So there is the whole territorial historical relationship. There's a whole cultural relationship with the significant amount of Jewish people that were a part of the Ottoman Empire. These historical ties made Turkey approach Israel in a very different way than other Middle Eastern countries did.
Notice that Turkey didn't declare war on Israel. In fact, Turkey and Israel have never been at war.
No, never. In fact, because Turkey at the time was also a new country, relatively new country, new democracy, that had very Western aspirations. They thought, okay, Israel and Turkey, we have a lot of ideological similarities in that sense. We want to be Westernized, we want to have a democracy, we want to have a good republic. And so they thought the cooperation between the two countries could actually really shift the Middle East the way things worked in the Middle East. They had really good military relationships. I know that a lot of Israeli companies helped the Turkish military update their equipment, modernize the airplanes and everything.
You keep saying were. You keep using the past tense. What changed?
It's a very sad fact, but things have changed a lot. In 2002, Turkey had its first Islamist government elected into power, the Justice and Development Party.
So what do you mean by Islamist government? When I hear that phrase, I think Muslim Brotherhood or I think Iran.
Yeah, so these people are not the Muslim Brotherhood, they don't come from the same organization, but they are what Turkish people would call the Muslim Brotherhood of Turkey. They are a party that's rooted in Islamist parties before in Turkish history. All these parties that have been shut down because they were found too Islamist and they were seen sort of as threatening the secular constitution of Turkey. So when these people got elected in 2002, they had a sort of a different agenda than all other political parties in Turkey had. While we had, as I said before, aspirations to look into the West, they found the Middle East as very important because they thought Muslim unity in the Middle East was very important, and they saw Turkey as a country that could have a significant role in this. And so they ended up having very good relationships with Hamas.
So Hamas is one of the Palestinian separatist groups currently ruling the Gaza Strip. That's only a recent phenomenon. So from Israel's perspective, Hamas is a primary security threat, an adversary. So for Turkey to all of a sudden want to be friends with Hamas,
the governing party to invite the Hamas leader to the parliament. Here's a clip. It was very surprising to see this sort of a shift in Turkey if you look at it from the point of view of Turkish-Israeli relations. One of the really big things that happened, though, that really strained the two relationships was the 2008-2009 Gaza conflict, in that Turkey took a very clear side, and they definitely sided with Gaza, and they said we want the Gazan people to be free, etc., etc. And then, what more importantly, the flotilla incident happened. So what was the 2010 flotilla incident? Here's another clip.
It was a confrontation that had been waiting to happen. An international flotilla carrying aid and protesters to Gaza, the Israelis ordering them to divert. Around dawn, the Israeli Navy moved in. These pictures from a pro-Islamic Turkish aid group appear to show Israeli commandos abseiling down from a helicopter onto one of the vessels, but being attacked and beaten as they landed. The Israelis succeeded in securing the vessel, but some 9 activists died and dozens were injured. Around 10 Israelis were wounded. How the bloodshed began remains unclear.
Yeah, so after the flotilla incident happened, obviously this was very devastating for the Turkish people. The Turkish government got very upset about this, and they blamed Israel for being a state that sponsors terrorism, and they cut all diplomatic relations. They
said Israel.
They expelled the Israeli ambassador.
They said Israel sponsors terrorists?
Yeah, they said Israel was a terrorist-sponsoring state because of Israel's policies with regards to Gaza. Turkey was demanding an apology at the United Nations. Israel was not giving the apology. I'm looking from an objective point of view, and I see the validity in both sides of the story, because technically, even though it wasn't, there's no way you can justify a country going into a foreign country's ship and killing the citizens there. But then again, Israel said, do not send these ships. If you send these ships, I'm going to raid them. What I'm trying to say with the whole Hamas friendship and the AKP's general worldview and the worldview that was sort of anti-Western and anti-Israeli and a little bit anti-Semitic, I might add, to the Turkish people all those years were very, very provocative. The biggest opposition leader to the opposition party to the AKP, the CHP, the leader, just gave a speech at Brookings last week, and he said, well, if we all know that if we were ruling at the time, if we were governing at the time, this would have never happened.
This is the opposition leader.
The opposition leader is saying this. Honestly, probably wouldn't have happened, because you have to understand how much the AKP had been provoking, and the Turkish people, the public, had been very sort of indifferent towards Israel, because Turkey had such good relations. There was a lot of tourism, there was a lot of military cooperation and everything. Turkish people liked the Israelis, or if anything, they were in a benign way indifferent towards Israel. Today, 2% thought of Israel as favorably, and 23% actually found it as a threat. Saw Israel as a threat. Back in 2000, back in the 1990s, these numbers, 2%, it's crazy. You see how much the public opinion has shifted, and the AKP
sounds like an Arab state.
And yeah, and the AKP has a lot to do with that. They were by no means innocent when it comes to this.
But look, I mean, it's the government's responsibility to reflect the demands and desires of its people. So if the Turkish people really have such low favorable view...
Yeah, but why do they have this low favorable view all of a sudden now? It's because this government started making it... What they did was they domesticized the Arab-Israeli conflict. In all their speeches, all their rallies, all their political conventions, everything, if we are a Muslim country, then Hamas is our brothers, and we have to, if we're not with our brothers, we're against our brothers. This also had a lot to do with AKP's regional ambitions. So as I said, they felt like, they wanted Muslims to come together, they wanted a stronger Middle East, and they wanted to be a key player in that. So they wanted Middle Eastern countries to like Turkey a lot. And in trying to do that, they took a lot of very cheap shots at Israel, which is what any leader would do, because what do you want if you're
trying to appeal to the Arab world?
Yeah, you want to be popular in the Arab world. What do?
Blame Israel.
Blame Israel for everything, and this is what the AKP did. So this is why the opposition leader is saying, if we were there, this probably wouldn't have happened.
All right. So when we were talking about U.S.-Israel relations, we kind of concluded with the idea that philosophically, strategically, there's been no fundamental rupture in the relations. How would you, now let's talk about Turkish-Israeli. Do you see the AKP's treatment of Israel, is that a fundamental break in Turkish-Israeli cooperation? Or do you think if there was just a different government, everything would go back to normal and Turkey and Israel would be friends again?
Last week, actually, Israel sent in the past 3 years, they sent their first foreign envoy to Turkey, and it seems like the relationship is sort of like mending now. It seems like even the AKP is trying to fix the relationship they have with the Middle East, because they have seen what a strategic loss Israel has been to them. You know, they could have been a key player in the peace talks. Now they can't, because nobody wants a country that doesn't have dialogue with the Israelis to be a part of this.
The Syrian crisis has been a real problem for Turkey.
Yeah,
and it's made them fundamentally question the role that they have in the Middle East. They desire to be this regional leader.
But
they're having a big trouble.
It.
They're having a lot of trouble trying to solve the Syrian crisis. So it's making them recalculate their regional ambitions. So is that causing them to reach out to Israel and be friendly again?
I don't think so, because I don't think Turkey is actually changing its regional ambitions. It's just sort of realizing that they don't work. That they could have been such a better player had they not ruined all their relations, had they not burned their bridges. And also, the military cooperation between Israel and Turkey has been so important that I think they're realizing they can't really give that up.
It seems like regardless of sort of the religious or political orientation of the party, it seems like
strategically these two countries have an alliance, and they can't.
And at least Turkey tried. They tested it. What would it be like if we didn't have such a good relationship with Israel? And over the past couple of years, they've realized if we don't have a good relationship with Israel, we're not going to be a regional player.
Yeah, but also a strategic partnership with Turkey is as important to Israel, I would argue, as it is for Turkey, because Turkey is the number 6th country that Israel exports to. We buy a lot from them, and especially military equipment and military planes, everything. So I think it's from both countries' point of view. Ideologically, Turkey is one of the countries that are closest to Israel, even though that has been changing because of this ruling party. But, you know, this is politics, it's domestic politics. They might change any time. I think Israel and Turkey are both realizing that they should probably go back to being allies and strategic friends.
And a force for stability in the region.
A white flag is being raised, which is good news.
Because it's almost like they have bigger fish to fry. They have more serious problems to deal with. The rest of the Middle East is, in some places, falling apart.
Yeah.
And it would be better off for everyone if Turkey and Israel could resume cooperation and work together to solve the problems that we're seeing in the region.
I want to now ask you about, obviously it's so important, we've been talking about Israel, America, Israel, Turkey. Obviously one of the big issues surrounding Israel right now is Iran.